everyone, and welcome to the Wooly Wonka Fibers podcast. My name is Anne. Today is Sunday, July 23rd. I hope everybody is doing well. This is a podcast about my knitting, spinning, indie dye, and indie design business, as well as some other crafty goodness with a little bit of stitching and a little bit of reading. So it is a gorgeous, gorgeous morning here today. We got up fairly early. My husband is off on the, let's see, what would this be? The third of 4 business trips in 5 weeks that he'll have between now and mid-August. So he flies pretty much all day today, and then he's gone until late on Thursday, home Friday. He's home for a week. I think that's right. Yeah, he's home for a week, and then he's back out on travel. So crazy times for him, where we just had a nice day yesterday where we kind of did things around the house, and he tried to catch up on sleep because he had just come in from another trip. So anyway, since it's quiet here this morning, I thought I would take this opportunity to record my usual bi-weekly podcast. So if you are a new viewer, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you as always for choosing to spend some time with me. So I'm going to just kick it off with knitting. I feel really good about the fact that I have all of the fall filament items that I have been working on done. They are done. They are blocked. The patterns are all written, all graded. I have one final one that I'm going to have back from my TE hopefully this week, and then they are ready just for photographs, which I'm also hopefully going to do next week. Yeah, so excited about that. It's going to be a really fun collection. I think I may have mentioned the way that Kathleen and I decided to work this fall collection was that we got 4 different yarns. We're using my one of my sock yarns, Harrisville Designs Flywheel, a gorgeous, gorgeous yarn from Spirit Trail Fiberworks called Zalti, and what was our last one? And I'm drawing a total blank. Oh, Blackwater Abbey's Worsted Weight. So we each got a project's worth of yarn, of each of those yarns, but then we didn't talk about what we were going to do. She and I normally, we do a design board and a mood board. We talk back and forth. We come up with ideas. We're like, oh, we need more garments. No, we need less garments. Whatever the thing is. So we didn't talk to each other at all about it. All we did was we came up with a sort of overall concept for it based on color, which was like a fox in the barn. We wanted to work with kind of dark fall, that kind of russety red and weathered barnwood, and all kinds of warm fall colors. Beyond that, we didn't tell each other what we were doing. And it was really interesting to see, because I just got her box this past week in order to do photographs next week. We didn't duplicate really anything. I mean, we both knit some garments, but it was just fun to see how both of us let the yarn do the talking, I guess, is where I'm going with this. So I'm really excited for the fall collection. I think it's going to be great fun, and certainly hope you all will enjoy it, and I will have sneak peeks to come. So stay tuned. So having finished that, I am working on the design that I'm doing for Mooncat Fibers up in Taos for the Taos Sheep and Wool Festival, which is the first weekend in October. Kathy will have kits made up of the design, which is a shawl. That's not really giving anything away. I'm working away on the sample and have pushed the first section to my tester, so kind of getting going on that one too. I feel like I'm in a pretty good place with that in terms of the design deadlines. So with that, with the big fall collection done, and just having the one design piece on my needles, I actually cast on for something like personal knitting. I know, you all are shocked, right? Doesn't happen very often, but I pulled out, I decided I haven't really knit any plain socks this year, and I was in the mood for that. So I pulled out, it was a sock blank that I got as a gift for my birthday last year. And it was one of the sock blanks that is the 2 strands knit together. So you can knit 2 socks simultaneously from the sock blank. So I'm going to try to insert a picture here showing you what the sock blank looked like unraveled. The blank was from Gail's Art. I will put a link below. It was gorgeous. It was a, the colorway is called Rainbow Rockstar, I think, or Rockstar Rainbow. I'll, again, put that information in the down box below. And as you might guess, rainbow colors. And it was one of the ones that was both hand-painted with the colorways, and then it had stars stamped on it in different colors. So I love the concept because, right, you can knit 2 socks at one time. You know they're going to match because the 2 strands are knit, the sock blank is knit together. Here's the issue with it. I don't ever knit 2 socks at one time. I just don't. I knit them separately. To me, it doesn't go any faster, and I don't mind knitting a second sock usually, so okay, it doesn't really do me anything. So as I started to unravel the sock blank, and I had cast on the first sock, I realized that the strands that were knit together were going to continually wrap, and I was going to have to constantly like untwist the sock blank, and I thought that's going to drive me nuts. And then I'm going to have like this one long strand that's not doing anything because I'm not knitting with it attached to the sock that I am knitting. So I'll be smart. I have tools. I will unravel the sock blank and cake up each half, if you will, into its own little separate cake. Okay, which I did, and it took me like 3 hours to do because I had already cast on the sock, so the end that should have just pulled easily apart was already attached to a knitted piece. So I went from the opposite end, which has the lock stitch at the end, so I could unravel 1 row, and then I would have to like untwist and thread the sock blank through that lock stitch at the end of each row in order to get it to continue to unravel. And those 2 strands of yarn that were knit together were twisted. So every time I would unravel to wind one on, I would have to untwist the whole thing. Took me for frickin' ever. So love the concept, love how the colorway's coming out, love the colors in it. I will probably never ever knit with the double knit sock blank again because it does not work for my way of doing things. So anyhow, here's where I am on the sock. I'm doing a 64 stitch circumference. I'm doing 1 by 1 twisted rib. Everything looks a little kinky because, you know, on the sock blank socks, they're, you know, they've got the knitting kinkiness to them. But I put in the heel last night, and so now I'm just ready to work on the foot. Fun colors. These are going to be really wild and interesting looking socks, but I am happy that the cooler colors are here, kind of where I would look at them on my foot as it's sticking out as I'm wearing them. So this is as far as I've gotten. I've just got the 1 sock going, but they are my, you know, watch TV, relax in the evening project now that I kind of am a little less on the deadline knitting craziness. So that is what I'm working on for personal knitting. Obviously can't show you the Taos shawl yet, but that'll come this fall, couple months. I think that's it for knitting. Next up, spinning. We are still in the middle of the Tour de Fleece. We've got today and tomorrow, I believe it is. Nope, just today. I think it ends today, the 23rd. So I have done really good in sticking to my goal of spinning half an hour a day. I have not gotten a ton spun in the tour, not like the crazy amounts that I normally do, but I am totally okay with that because it's been relaxing and it's been fun. So if you've been participating in the tour, I hope that you have enjoyed having that kind of focused spinning time as well and have some gorgeous yarn to show at the back end. So I did finish up the spin I was working on. That was from FatCatKnits. It was a braid of Falkland wool. And the colorway is called Cassidy. And I spun this up into a 2-ply fractal. It's kind of sport weightish. Really happy with how this turned out. I think the colors are amazing. I love that it's dark. It's like dark braids. So that is done. I have this in my hand spun stash bin. No firm ideas on it yet. It might be mittens at some point. Might even be socks. It would make some great kind of heavier boot socks. And again, love the colors in this. I think it came out amazing. So that is kind of my last finished spin for the tour. I'm going to put on the wheel today the colorways that went out to the fiber club, my fiber club, the Wooly Wonka Fibers Fiber Club for July. The theme was so we're doing sun and sand for the next 3 months for July, August, September. And so everything's themed kind of like vacation destinations. So I found this great photo of this lagoon with tiki huts kind of surrounding it. Looks like a great place to vacation, but it's all these great blue, bright blues and greens. So this is the Tiki Hut colorway. Also happens to be on Falkland wool. I didn't plan that. That's how it kind of came up in my rotation of yarn or fiber bases. So I will be spinning this braid, which is a partial braid. And I will be spinning also the contrast / complementing color, Marikoriko, which is one of the original tiki goddesses in Hawaiian tiki mythology. She's kind of an earth mother, earth goddess symbol. So this is the tonal dye, and here it is with the hand paint. And I'm going to spin these up separately to do something like maybe use this for heels and cuffs and use this for the sock, maybe some stripes out of this. We'll see what my yardage looks like. Together, these are just under 4 ounces of fiber, so see what I get for yardage. So I'm going to start that today. I thought that would be like a fun way to kind of finish off the tour, and I love these colorways. To me, they're nice and bright, and they sing summer, but they're not like crazy brights. So I like this kind of bluish green, greenish blue colorway. Okay, so that is where I am on spinning. Grab one more sip of tea. We'll go on to other good stuff. Okay, so what I have been working on in the world of stitching, this is just a kind of high-level quick recap. This is a year-long stitch-along I've been working on. It's the Under the Sea SAL, and we got July's Clue, which I have finished, which is this mermaid right here, and a couple of these little fish in here. So we are... This is the space left for August, and then we just have the final 4 months. So we got 5 months left, and this is the first 7 months that I have done. I recharted, or I redid the mermaid's face. In the original, she was looking face forward, and she had really bright green eyeshadow on, which I didn't love. So I changed it so she looks more like she's talking to the little fish, which I think is pretty cute, but I love her tail. It has a little bit of sparkly thread in it. And I think this is coming out really cute. So finished up that clue this month, and then I will get the August clue next month to go here. So, and love this hand-dyed fabric. It's kind of an ombre type gradient, so it's a little bit darker down here at the bottom. And it looks like water. So that is what I have been working on this month, amongst other things, but that's the thing I've got finished and ready to show. So then let me talk about reading. So I have been reading a book, which I just finished this morning over tea while my husband was getting ready to go out the door, called The Paris Wife by the author Paula McLean. I will put a link in the down bar to information on that book on the Goodreads site. I picked this up for the challenge, the 2017 reading challenge, as a book by an author whose work you like. I read a book by Paula McLean last year called Circling the Sun, which was about Beryl Markham. And if you have been following my podcast for a while, I know I spoke about it then. Beryl Markham is the person who is called Felicity in the Out of Africa movie that has Robert Redford and Meryl Streep in it. She's kind of the young, she's a young woman in the movie. There's some like sort of subtle rumblings that she and Dennis Finch Hatton are having an affair, and he's who she goes flying with. And so she is a real person. Her name is was Beryl Markham. She is the first woman to have a commercial pilot's license in Africa. She flew the first transatlantic flight from Britain back to the US, as opposed to the famous one everyone knows about with Earhart going the opposite direction. Her father was a landowner who wasn't a great businessman, I guess I would say, and she wound up he wound up losing the family farm, and she went to work at a very early age. She had kind of an unsettled teenage into early womanhood years, but definitely an adventurous. She loved to ride. She loved all kinds of outdoor adventures. Like I said, first pilot's license in Africa. And I really liked the way that the author approached her life. It was a nice, balanced portrait of this person, who I think would have been an amazing person to talk to at a dinner party, or, you know, have over to your house for dinner. And I thought, since she had done such a nice job handling Markham's story, that I would probably enjoy another book that she had written about a woman who had a very interesting life. And so The Paris Wife is about Ernest Hemingway. Let's try to get this finished up. My phone obviously was unhappy with me. So The Paris Wife is about Ernest Hemingway's first wife, Hadley Richardson. It's set during the Jazz Age. It talks about how they meet and their life when they moved to Paris as expatriates. It talks about their circle of friends, which included some amazing literary folks like F. Scott Fitzgerald comes into the story. George Sand, who is actually the godmother to their little boy, Jack, who they call Bumby. It's done really nicely. I mean, Hemingway winds up cheating on her, and they get a divorce, and it's as heart-wrenching as you might expect because it's told from her perspective. But I thought the author did a really great job of developing the character of this woman, and she treats Hemingway with a balanced hand. I think he was a difficult personality. They drank too much. He would get into these moods. He would go through periods of time where he was very down and suicidal, and, you know, she was kind of his rock and felt like she had to always not rock the boat with him. And she, at least the way that the book is written, you feel like she never really valued herself as highly as perhaps she should have, because she certainly seems like she was the voice of reason and as much of a good influence on him as he would let someone be. She does a really great job talking about and creating the world where they go to see the bulls running in Pamplona, and the matador fights and things that were inspirations for his books and his writing. It also develops a picture of him as a war correspondent, which he did in Europe in the 20s, and even into the 30s a little bit. And while they were living in Paris, he would be sent places by the newspapers, and he would write about these horrors, and he would sort of come home drained. He was in World War I. He was injured in World War I. He was shot. And so there's sort of this specter of the PTSD that he had that keeps coming back, where he has nights he can't sleep and horrible nightmares, and sort of not exactly a death wish, but he thinks about death a lot. And so the author, I thought, did an excellent job portraying this woman who was part of his life, and he was sort of a bigger than life person. His persona was massive, and Hadley was kind of quiet, and she was older than he was, and she had sort of always lived a sheltered life. One of the things that brought them together is that her father had committed suicide. His father had committed suicide, and so that was sort of a common thread that ran throughout their marriage, that they understood each other to some extent. So I really, really enjoyed this book. I loved how the author approached it. I loved how she told the story. I thought she did a brilliant job with it. I mean, it's not a happy story. You know, they are married, I think it's 7 years in total. They're sort of estranged the last 2, because he's already living with the woman who would become his second wife. He had 4 in total. And she does tie up the book with an ending that makes you feel like things were okay in Hadley's life eventually, even though certainly by this account, Hemingway was kind of her bright star in terms of someone who she loved. So a very good book, highly recommended if you like historical fiction. Again, I'll leave the information in the down box in case you want to check out the story yourself and see if you might enjoy it as a read. Not quite sure what I'm going to pick up next. I'm going to look at my book topic list today and make a choice. I've got a bunch of different ones to pick from. My dad just sent me a new box of books, so I've got some ones in there I can go through and see what I like. So I think that's it for this week. I will see you guys again in another couple weeks, and until then, have a great end of July, early August. I hope things are wonderful in your world wherever you are. Take care.